Hello, welcome back, and this is your lovely commander speaking. We are at the promotion screen after our last mission, where it was a very interesting Haven assault, where we were fighting off zombies and aliens at the same time. What a world. What a lot of chaos going on. I wanted to say something a little more philosophical as I took a break and came back and let my mind wander a bit. It's kind of like how some people have shower thoughts, where you contemplate the universe while you're in the shower, except I kind of do that whenever I'm not like listening to podcasts or music and just letting my brain turn into mush. And I was thinking about promotion screens. It's a milestone sort of thing, and there are no promotion screens in real life. I mean, technically we have promotions like the literal meaning of the word. You know, you get promoted at your job. If you are in school, then from one year to the next, you are promoted to the next grade. But there's not much ceremony behind it. I mean, maybe there is somewhat in some vague sense, but there's not really a sense of achievement that goes along with it. One important part of game design is having milestones like these upgrade screens that give a sense of progression, that give a sense of here's what you've been through, and here's how you are developing. They give a sense of progress. And that's something that's missing from a lot of people's lives, is they don't have a sense of moving anywhere. And I was recently thinking back to a very odd situation where about 8 years ago, I was living in Japan, and I was talking with a friend of mine who is still living in Japan. He's talking about the different jobs that he's gone through and how things are developing lately. And we were talking about how time feels very different when you are self-employed as opposed to when you have a regular schedule that you're doing. And one thing that I am trying to apply to my life is having a regular schedule, including having structured time for play, structured time for recording like this. And he was very negative towards me about that, of like, oh, you've had schedules before, but nothing's ever come of it. I go, it's never too late to change. Yeah, past behavior is a strong indicator of what's in the future, but I have a lot of motivation to improve things, and I've been trying to improve things. Yes, they haven't been going so swimmingly to plan. I still don't have any books published. I still haven't made any great achievements in my life, but that doesn't mean I should just give up. The big thing that you need to have is a sense of faith in yourself. The big reason why my friend was not very faithful, he was not very hopeful towards me, is because personally in his own situation he wasn't feeling very strong towards how things were going for himself. And so I hope to be a little more inspiring towards him. And so I was thinking about promotion screens and everything, and having a sense of milestones in progress in terms of game development things. I didn't finish the thing about Japan, but I'll get back to that. But if you wanted a good example of how milestones really set a sense of motivation, look at Runescape, because it's a very odd RPG where you are simulating work. I mean, a lot of RPGs are simulating work of one kind or another. It's just we like the exciting work of fighting monsters or whatever. But like it's really mundane a lot of times, where I'm cooking pies for like 2 hours in RuneScape, collecting the wheat, putting it in the hopper for the grain mill, collecting the flour, making it into dough, and making pies. I think there could be an educational application towards that, towards games like that in some way, if we had like a sane world. Speaking of sanity, we are oh my gosh, I totally want to take Phase Walk. I don't care about the others. This is just too cool. Where, RuneScape is a great example of having motivation from milestones, because like a big thing is leveling up and getting milestone achievements. And people want to be productive. The hard thing is making productivity fun. Then there's a big issue of like gamifying things, where it's like try harder and it's not really rewarding, where people don't really feel engaged with what they're doing. And I have a really strong sense of engagement with what I've been doing with gardening and with yard work lately, where I've been just collecting jobs around for doing really hard physical labor. That is being more connected to nature, having dirt under your fingernails and all that. That's a good feeling of productivity. I'm clearing out a very large overgrown area on another location where they just need to cut out a lot of this undergrowth, and I'm collecting a lot of brushwood while I'm doing that, so I'm able to have bonfires and everything, so that's going to be real fun. So the thing about Japan, to loop back to, it was about 8 years ago, and I talked about an incident where I had a one-night stand, and it was like, oh, it's a secret tryst with a foreigner. Oh, isn't this fun? This was at a point where I just didn't care about dating, where I just wanted to go to different bars and stuff because I thought it was just an interesting excuse to go out and see people and talk to people. And the most interesting guys, I would always try and talk with the salarymen, the Japanese businessmen that are chilling out after work. And I'm always interested in seeing what's someone's hobby, because there's, in Japanese culture, modern Japanese culture, people still have hobbies. People still have personalities. One thing that, there was a bar that I really liked, it was Daibakudan. It's like The Big Bomb was the name of it. And it was like 1950s retro aesthetic to it, where the barmaster there knew that I really liked, he knew that I liked Jack Daniels and that I liked to listen to Elvis music. And he had old cassette tapes, and he had the old tape deck, the boombox kind of player was how he ran things. There's a sense of like keeping this old retro stuff alive, even though the tape deck's more of like an 80s, 90s thing. And he had like the sound clips where it was like recordings from old radio where it still had the old commercials in it. And it was like a novelty thing because they're saying stuff in English, but it gave a sense of nostalgia for a time that I never experienced. It was very kitsch, the whole thing for it. But anyway, at Daibakudan, the barmaster knew me because I was a regular there. And I had such like a good experience of just finding this random hole in the wall and like becoming a regular and having a feeling of, yeah, the barmaster here knows me, knows what my regular deal is. So I would usually end up talking to salarymen, and everyone has a hobby. And one guy that I was talking to showed me that he did leather working. Like this, he's not trying to sell stuff on Etsy or like make it famous with his side job. It's like he really liked intricate leather work, and he had like, how wallets have usually they have a leather outside to it. He had this like very intricate engraving that would be like an old Western style oak leaf engraving that's going around, or like paisley. It was really, really cool. And another thing was usually you have like a phone charm. The usual mistranslation, or like accepted mistranslation, is a phone strap, but that sounds weird. You have stuff that's like a keychain that hangs from your phone. Sometimes it'll be like an anime character or whatever, but a fairly common thing would be to have like a tag thing so that you could have your phone in your pocket, you could pull on that, and you'd be able to like get it out of your pocket easily. And so he had a leather strap that he had the different engravings on it. And I thought that was like really intricate, and it took a very, very long time for him to learn this. It's an odd thing that there's always hobbies and interesting things that guys have, where when I'd be talking to women, that would not really be the case. People would be like, oh, I like talking to my friends on this messaging app or something, or being on Facebook, or I like to read this, or sometimes I like drawing. There's one nice girl who showed me some drawings that she did, even though that's like a very nervous thing in Japan because it's kind of looked down upon to be too artistic. Regardless, there's one time where by chance, I'm getting super aside myself, where it's not so interesting talking about like dating or whatever, because I was interested more in talking with people who like had character to them, and like going out dating or whatever, it's always about like proving yourself, and that was really frustrating. But in this one, I was real interested in talking with some other guys, that because we're so interested, because we are such a lively conversation talking about things, there were a couple of girls that came over, and one thing led to another with conversation. And I ended up having a one-night stand with a girl. I recounted that story of like, oh, it's our little secret, where we didn't have any interest in getting to know each other like deeply or anything. It was just a fling. I went through a bit of a hypothetical when I was talking with my friend. He's like, could you imagine if you'd like just started a family with her? If it was just, some random incident like that, and you know, like slice of life, fate takes over, and you end up being destined for each other. And I have no idea like how realistic that would ever be. This seems like something like pie in the sky out of the blue. But sillier things have happened. Oh, met in a bar from just someone. Oh, she was just so interested in me. I just couldn't help but fall for her. That sounds too starry-eyed to be realistic. But regardless, I sat back and I thought, if I had a child with her 8 years ago, imagine having an 8-year-old kid now, where I'm sure that bringing up a kid would go through a lot of, you go through a lot of character development, a lot of experience. It's funny how character development is like a euphemism for hardship, both in real life and like life coaching, as well as in writing. To have character development, you have to suffer for it. I'm not seeking out suffering. I have endured enough agony, and I've not healed enough from, oh my god, you have to do heal, you're so weak and everything. If you keep getting beaten up and you don't have time for the sinews to stitch back together, then you are going to continually be weak. Muscle is not grown in the gym when you're tearing the muscle and pushing yourself really hard. Muscle is grown when you rest. And rest has not been something that I've been able to find in my life, so I apologize for that miniature rant on the side of it, but it is absolutely an important thing to grow from hardship that's out there, but don't suffer for suffering's own sake. But I would think of like, how would I grow if I did have a stable family, if I did have a loving wife and we were able to support each other emotionally, support each other spiritually, morally. Of course, I would be providing the finances. That's just how it works with Japanese society. I mean, there's different gender roles, expectations, whatever the heck, where there's so much frustration that comes up with that. So if you have cultural expectations, then you know what the shot is, and you don't have to play stupid games and win stupid prizes because of it. And the West is winning so many stupid prizes right now. It's absolutely depressing. But looking at my own situation of where I am in life, amount of isolation that I've been through over the last 8 years, and then comparing that to if I had a family, and if I were at the point where right now I had an 8-year-old kid, it's unimaginable. It's hopeful in one sense, but I wouldn't be the same person that I am. I would hope that I would be someone much better, but it's absolutely unrealistic to even hope for such things. And like such things remaining intact, being able to grow, being able to heal in a situation of so much decay. But that would be an important milestone thing. This is what I was thinking about, like with upgrade screens and everything. There's aspects of growth that we need to reflect on, we need to look back on, and I'm trying to capture that more, and in my own miniature way of capturing a sense of progress, a sense of advancement. I keep schedules pretty strictly now. I have like achievements that I'm trying to get done for the week. Like last week, I was doing a lot with insulation and with just refurbishing the situation that I live in. And it's paid off very well. We had a couple of very cold nights, and I was able to stay pretty warm with minimal electricity use. So that's a good sense of reward that's there. So now I'm actually into like what am I choosing to focus on? And I have some objectives. Big thing is doing recordings, doing some YouTube videos, and like having conversations, and having long rants off of an impromptu idea that comes in mind, but also growing more in terms of having exposure to ideas. Not necessarily new ideas, but this is more like looking back on the ideas that I've written before with all these different drafts that I have for writing, and going back and focusing heavily on editing, and basically having a conversation with my past self and seeing how I've grown from previous positions, how I've grown alongside different characters. Even though I can't have a genuine relationship that's so starry-eyed and full of romance, I can still have a sense of growing my understanding and growing my sense of meaningfulness and purpose in life through telling stories, even though it's complete fabrication. Well, that's what a story is. It is a fabrication, but it's a fabrication aimed at creating meaning out of meaningless circumstances. I was looking up what makes good writing. I'm reading a few books about good writing and good editing right now, good writing, good descriptions, for example. And I have those in paperback, these things that I've rented from the library. One thing that I ran into, just starting out with reading that, is the purpose of a novel is verisimilitude. And I don't use this word very often, so I might be saying it wrong, but I'm going off the root words. Veritas, truth, genuine, and similitude, so similar, simulation, simulacra. The making something appear as if it is true. So this is true seeming, and with tude there, it's the quality of it. You are making a novel that you can sell the experience as something that is genuine. And I haven't run across verisimilitude as a proper word that I've really contemplated before. This is something where I focus a lot on language and words and similarities of words across different languages, then like unique cultural meanings, which is why I've become very interested in Chinese, even though I really struggle to put any time aside from that. But there's just so much depth that I really don't have the mental bandwidth with everything that I'm trying to do to focus on gaining greater insight from Chinese and all these cultural differences. But there's a lot of reflection and growth, that genuine growth that can happen there. I hate how like the new agey term of I'm trying to grow as a person, I'm trying to find myself, I'm trying to do healing, or how that gets in the way of genuinely trying to grow your character, genuinely trying to heal and become something stronger. So I definitely do hope to be growing as I'm focused more on editing going forward.